Welcome to Tokyo Wave, recorded in a live studio in Harajuku, Japan, with your hosts Aaron and Parker.
All right, everyone, welcome to episode 42 of Tokyo Wave. We're your hosts, Aaron Randall
and Parker Allen. This week, we are joined by a special guest, social media influencer and content creator Patrick Smith, aka Paper Pat.
On Tokyo Wave, we bring you weekly updates from our studio in Harajuku.
Join us in segments featuring this week's top news,
political happenings,
business,
and other random garbage.
Here are this week's top news highlights.
Rumors surfaced that Tokyo Olympics will be postponed to 2032.
About 30 individuals charged for allegedly exchanging stolen cryptocurrency in Japan.
Japan government worker arrested for filing self-serve regular latte cup with large helping.
Scandalous.
This week in Japan.
All right, here's our first top news item this week. Rumors surfaced that Tokyo Olympics will be postponed to 2032.
On January 22nd, Kyodo Newswire reported that the Japanese government has denied a news report that the government has privately concluded the Tokyo Olympics will have to be canceled due to the coronavirus, and it is seeking to host them in 2032.
British daily newspaper The Times quoted a senior member of the ruling coalition as saying that behind closed doors, there is an agreement that the games are doomed. And the aim now is to find a face-saving way of announcing the cancellation that leaves open the possibility of Tokyo hosting them at a later date.
Deputy Chief Cabinet Secretary Manabu Sakai said at a regular news conference, "We would like to fully deny the report by saying there is no such fact."
Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga has repeatedly said holding the games would be proof that humanity has defeated the virus, and recently spoke at the Diet that the government is considering specific antivirus measures to realize a safe Olympic Games.
On January 21st, International Olympic Committee Chief Thomas Bach told Kyodo News in an online interview that there is no plan B, even as doubts grow amid a sharp resurgence of coronavirus cases in the capital and other major cities in Japan.
Despite the IOC and the Japanese government reiterating their determination to hold the Olympics this year, the situation is becoming increasingly uncertain with the virus resurgence inside Japan.
A Kyodo News poll earlier this month showed around 80% of the respondents in Japan believe the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics should be canceled or rescheduled.
You know, what was it just last week? I think we were talking about whether we thought the games would be going ahead as usual or not.
Right. And we mentioned the fact that they're canceling business travel as basically closing any runway to allow the travel infrastructure to start in time.
Because the athletes have to come first.
Right. So, we all know it's going to get canceled, but 2032? That's wild.
Well, I don't know if we all know that it's going to get canceled or not, but definitely the C word seems to be common in this current environment.
Yeah. The government reaction is funny too.
Absolutely not. Nothing of the sort is occurring at this current moment in time.
All right, and up next, about 30 individuals charged for allegedly exchanging stolen cryptocurrency in Japan.
Kyodo has also reported that about 30 people have been charged for allegedly exchanging NEM cryptocurrency for other digital currencies while knowing the assets had been stolen.
Some 58 billion yen, that's about $560 million, worth of digital money, NEM, was stolen from its operator, Coincheck Incorporated, in January 2018. Following the massive theft, an underground exchange emerged for swapping NEM for other digital currencies on a dark website, and the suspects are found to have been involved in trading at the online exchange.
A dark website, eh? Do they have to put on a cloak before they log in?
It's a funny way to put it. I mean,
The suspects, all of whom have been arrested and referred to prosecutors, are residents of Japan, the sources said, adding that the identities of those who stole the NEM remain unknown.
Residents, so some of them might not be ethnically Japanese? Foreigners?
It is possible.
Yeah.
Like that Satoshi Nakamoto. Who is that guy?
I think they found him, right?
No, but later it was just what was it?
It was all like a
It
publicity
was just
stunt.
some random dude.
Yeah,
whose
yeah.
name happened to be Satoshi Nakamoto.
I remember this is when Bitcoin was like, blowing up, and they quote unquote found him, and there was like this, 20-page like article in like the New York Times or something. But then I remember they interviewed him a couple years later, and turns out he really wasn't a programmer. He was
just some random Japanese dude.
Yeah. So, I don't think it was actually him, or there wasn't a him to begin with.
Dun dun dun.
While the Metropolitan Police Department will continue its investigation of the theft, it will soon conclude its probe into those exchanging stolen NEM, as it is nearing the statute of limitations.
The trading involving the 30 people at the underground exchange is estimated to have totaled over 10 billion yen, using the exchange rate at the time of the massive theft in 2018.
Some of the suspects exchanged NEM for other digital currencies through the website and cashed their holdings at cryptocurrency exchanges at home and abroad for profit.
Those dastardly individuals! For a profit! Masaki Kitamoto and Takayoshi Doi, whose trade volumes were fairly large compared with others, were arrested in March 2020. Other suspects were arrested and charged later.
Just more bad news about crypto. I mean, it kind of sucks for the people that are really big on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in particular, seeing this kind of stuff.
Well, I think the general perception in Japan is that people who buy crypto are all, hackers or dealing dangerous drugs or nefarious gaijins for unknown purposes, probably illicit.
Yeah, I'm surprised they were easily able to cash out. It's pretty hard to cash out on a lot of these kind of things. You usually have to like buy mattresses and like sell them on eBay and stuff. So
I actually know there's a really good unagi or eel restaurant that I like to go to in Saitama that accepts cryptocurrency as payment.
Oh, wow.
So, if I were a massive crypto thief, I would just eat unagi every day.
That's one way to do it.
There's no way for anyone to ever know.
I think for some of our listeners outside of Japan, they don't know that crypto it's not uncommon to see a Bitcoin ATM in Tokyo. There are a couple establishments that used to have them. I don't think they have them anymore. But, as you said, this place you mentioned and quite other few places accept Bitcoin. It's pretty common here.
But still, I think that it's not, you can't use, NEM at the convenience store to buy a Strong Zero, for
Not
instance.
NEM. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to use PayPay.
Exactly. And up next, Japanese government worker arrested for filling self-serve regular latte cup with large helping.
The Mainichi has reported that a 60-year-old part-time municipal government employee in Kyushu was arrested on January the 21st on suspicion of theft for filling a 100 yen self-serve convenience store coffee cup with 200 yen's worth of latte.
Just shaking my head, man. Come on, give me a break. The accused, a Kumamoto City government employee and resident of the town of Ozu, was nabbed in the act by an officer from the Kumamoto Prefectural Police's Kumamoto Central Police Station. He has reportedly confessed to the allegations by telling police, "I wanted to save the money. Starting a few months ago, I've done this at least 20 times." He didn't have to go that far. Let him know. Man, they'll admit to anything here. It's crazy. Jeez.
According to police, at around 9:30 a.m. on January the 21st, at a convenience store in the Tetori Honcho neighborhood of the city's Chuo ward, The suspect bought a 100 yen regular size coffee cup for use at a self-service machine at the store. He then allegedly stole coffee by filling the receptacle with a large portion of latte, which costs 200 yen.
I think by mistake, I've, asked for the, some kind of like macchiato and then put another drink in there.
I'm gonna call the cops right now, dude.
So the police station also reported that the affected shop had approached them about the issue on the afternoon of January 20th, and that the accused entered the store on January 21st while a police officer was present doing investigations. The officer is said to have witnessed the man filling his cup to the brim with a volume of latte meant for a bigger container and then leaving the store.
So, it was a stakeout.
Jeez, man, they got so much time on their hands. The head of the Kumamoto City government's HR department said to reporters, "It is deeply regrettable that this kind of incident has taken place. Once we have confirmed the facts in detail, we will handle the issue appropriately."
So they're gonna, take him out back and shoot him, right?
Yeah, it's fucking capital punishment for
Oh, so if he did it like 20 times, right? So that's 2,000 yen?
Yeah.
Couldn't he have just like pulled out 2,000 yen and be like, sorry, don't arrest me, bye?
Yeah, it's just amazing that they're wasting all this time and resources on these kinds of cases. Like, it's just frustrating hearing about this.
Can you imagine being that guy just like, yeah, I'm gonna save 100 yen, and then he comes in and like there's just some police officer and he probably didn't think anything about it because, who gets who gets arrested by the police for putting the big size in the little cup, right?
It'd be funny while this is all going on, like Ori Ori Sagi is going on. The Oba-chan walks in with like Hyakuman and is doing like furikomis the whole time.
There needs to be a Japanese version of Mad TV. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah. All right, and coming up next, we have a special interview with Paper Pat, a social media influencer and content creator.
You're now listening to Tokyo Wave.
Originally from Michigan, Patrick Smith is an American teaching English in Tokyo. Although he is still somewhat new to Tokyo, Patrick has been living abroad for the last 10 years.
Patrick taught English in Beijing for 3 years before moving to Japan. Before moving to Tokyo, he lived and worked in Sendai for 5 years.
Currently in his 7th year of teaching in Japan, Patrick's content has amassed an impressive following, with more than 900,000 followers on TikTok and 65,000 on Instagram.
Patrick enjoys making videos about his experiences teaching, as well as his day-to-day life in Japan.
So, Patrick, thank you so much for coming on Tokyo Wave today.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Cool. So, Patrick, whenever we have a guest on our show, the first thing we like to ask them is, their Japan story. What brought you to Japan? Because everyone is, brought in here through different roads and different ways. So maybe could you let us know?
Yeah. Basically, I became really interested in Japan during my early college years. And I kind of got into the culture and tried to learn a bit of the language a bit. And it wasn't until I was in my last year of college that I kind of realized that I was also interested in China. I went on a short trip to China. It was about a month long. And at the end of that trip, I was like, oh man, China's great too. I've always wanted to go to Japan, but like China's really cool too. So then I graduated and wanted to return to China. And so I found a program that my university actually had in place for any graduates to go and teach in Beijing at one of like 5 different schools. Didn't matter what major you had, you could just go and teach, which is pretty common for a lot of schools here in Japan, as well as I think China. So I had a communications degree, nothing related to education at all, but I got into the program, and after spending a year at home, kind of just like working and saving money, I went back to China to teach. While I was in China, my older sister actually was teaching in Sendai. So I took a couple trips to visit her during my 3 years there, and basically really fell in love with Japan all over again. I was like, man, this is the place to be. Her school specifically, my sister's school that she taught at, was just a really, really nice school. The kids, she taught little kindergartners, and they had amazing English. Japan's a very clean country, which was not quite the case in China. And so I was really just impressed by the whole experience, and I wanted to transition to Japan. And that's what I did. I came to Japan after those 3 years in China and taught at that school in Sendai. And I've been living here ever since.
I always get jealous when I hear about other foreigners who started out in cities other than Tokyo, because I've just been in Tokyo the whole time. But Sendai, Fukuoka, these cities seem so cool. And what's the biggest kind of change that you've kind of experienced between Sendai and Tokyo?
I mean, I guess this is maybe kind of a common thing that people would notice, but it really is something you pick up on real fast. Just the speed of everything. Tokyo's a lot more fast-paced than Sendai was. It changes depending on where you live in Tokyo, but generally in any of the big areas that you'll need to go to at some point in time, most likely, you're going to encounter people who are on a mission. You know, they're going to work, they're going to school, they're doing whatever, and they're on that mission, and nothing can distract them from it. And so it's just very kind of jarring to see when, you know, you come from a city like Sendai that's smaller, and it can have those fast-paced elements here and there in the downtown areas, but it's just a very different feel. I wouldn't say moving here, I noticed that for the first time, because I'd visited Tokyo a number of times back when I lived in Sendai. But the first time I visited Tokyo, I remember noticing that and kind of thinking, wow, this is very different feel than Sendai.
So I have a weird story about Sendai. So the first time I came to Japan, I went to Iwate Prefecture, which is just north of Sendai. And so I had always heard of Sendai as like kind of the capital of Tohoku. And so later, after I moved to Japan and started going to university here in Tokyo, I wanted to go up to Sendai and see what it was all about, because I hadn't really spent any time there. So what I did was I took all of the savings that I had, which was not a lot of money. I bought a really cheap car, and I just started driving north. And not on the expressway, because I was a poor college kid. And so I took the local road up to Sendai, and it took a long time. And so eventually I got to Sendai. I was exhausted. And you know how on top of Sendai Station, there's that big parking lot? I drove my car into the parking lot, parked, fell asleep, and I spent the next 3 days like hanging out in Sendai and just sleeping in my car because I was too broke to buy a hotel.
Wow. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, that parking lot.
I was not the only person doing this.
Okay, I was gonna ask, like, no policeman came or anything to kind of like ask why you've been there for 3 days?
Actually, I changed parking lots.
Yeah. Nice.
They're
nice.
probably
That's a
still
trick.
looking for me.
That's great. That's hilarious. Yeah.
But Sendai is really cool. There's also like not quite like a Kabukicho scale, but there's like a pretty good sort of nightlife district. And it was the first time in Sendai. It was the first time I had a mint julep, which is ironic because I'm from Tennessee. You would imagine I would have seen one of those before, but I'm like, mint and whiskey? What is this? Had to find it in Sendai. That was the only place that I could find it, apparently.
How was it?
It was delicious. I was totally hooked. And then I was like, what? This is a thing from America? Oh.
I haven't had that in Sendai. I have to say, I haven't had that experience yet.
So I went to this awesome bar and I discovered the mint julep, and I've loved them ever since. But every time I go back to Sendai, I look for that bar. But unfortunately, when I went to the bar and experienced this, once in a lifetime mint julep, I also got kind of drunk. And so every time I go to Sendai, which is, maybe 5, 6, 7 times, I go and look for the bar. I have not found it.
Oh, no.
It's a mystery.
It's a bummer. Did you not well, I guess you wouldn't think necessarily to save the location upon visiting the first time because you don't know the experience is going to be that memorable.
I was and it was 11 years ago. This was before the days of iPhones. So I never had those flip phones.
Yeah.
But especially having a lot of friends from having been in Iwate, a lot of people go to Sendai. And so even when I was thinking about going to school in Japan, I wanted to go to Tohoku University. But I quickly found out that I was too dumb to get into Tohoku University.
I'm sorry about that. I'm
The rest
sure
is
I'd be too
history.
dumb too.
No, so this is really cool hearing, Patrick, that you were in Beijing for 3 years before coming to Japan. So obviously, I'm really curious. What's you mentioned the cleanliness of Japan, and I've heard other people echo that as well that have lived in China and Japan. But yeah, teaching in China compared to teaching in Japan, I'm wondering, what are some of the big differences? What are some of the pros and cons to each?
There's a number of them. I would say in terms of teaching English, I would say one of the pros to living in China and teaching in China was that the people there tend to be a lot more outgoing than Japanese people. They're more blunt and it can come across a bit rude, the things that they'll maybe say to you, but they don't do it with rude intentions. It's just how they are. They speak what's on their mind. Sort of similar to how, US natives are. Because of their bluntness and just overall confidence, I think students tend to try harder when it comes to speaking in English classes. So the school that I taught at when I was in Beijing was a middle school and a high school. And those students had amazing English. I even taught these special 5th grade classes of 10, 11-year-olds. And they got into that school because they were just extra smart. They were just really smart 5th graders. So they were enrolled into the middle school, and they had better English than a lot of the seniors that I taught, or the I guess they were 10th graders that I taught in the senior high. Just amazing English because they study hard, like Japanese students do as well. But they also, I think, are just more naturally willing to engage with people who are native English speakers. It wasn't uncommon to be in the subway and have a Chinese person approach me and be like, "Oh, are you?" They'd usually ask if I was African first. No, I'm from the US. And they'd say, "Oh, okay. So can I practice my English with you?" And so I just get into conversations with random people on the subway. Actually made a number of friends that way.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very outgoing, and that helps when it comes to learning a language, that having that confidence and diving into actually speaking with people. So that was one pro. A con, I'm really not sure if this is a big thing here in Japan too. I don't think it is, but I could be completely wrong. The schools that I've taught at in Japan they've always been private kindergartens. I've never been in a public school teaching. And so this may also happen here in Japan, but in China at the school there, the students would often cheat on big tests. If I gave them a test, I taught the senior high speech, and they would take the test, and then they would somehow copy the answers and then give those answers to the next class that I would teach. I taught 3 different senior high classes. My last year, I think I taught 4, all the same subject. So in one day, I would usually teach all 4 of them. And so in between classes, the class would pass the answers to the next class, and they would ace that test in the next period. Thankfully, I caught on early during my first year, and I learned I had to make different tests for each of the classes, just rearrange the questions.
They really are just like Americans. They cheat.
The crazy thing though is this was a really prestigious middle school and high school. It's one of the most well-known.
So they're really
schools.
good at cheating.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was like, wow, they really do have like a sort of like hive mindset. Like it's all about making sure everyone can kind of move forward.
Right.
And so, yeah, that would come across, and even how they do tests, they would just try to help everybody pass, which is obviously not good when you're, in the education system trying to, really teach students through those means. But yeah, I don't know, again, if that's a thing that students here in Japan do. I haven't really noticed anything like that in my schools, but
Of all the things that I've heard English teachers in Japan complain about, cheating is not one of them.
okay.
Maybe we just don't know what's going on.
Maybe they're really, really, really good teachers.
Yeah. Japan might be the best.
This is the land that invented ninjas.
Yeah.
We must not forget.
I have seen some like dedicated Reddit threads to like, the cheating like tactics that they use, right? And I think most of them came from China that I saw. Like they cram paper into like, the around the pencil, around like what do you call it? The mechanical pencil or whatever, and have stuff in their glasses. And
I've heard that one before. Yeah, the glasses.
yeah. When I took the JLPT, the Japanese language proficiency test here in Japan, it was, me and just like, a bunch of other foreigners, and most of them were from China. And as soon as the test was done, there was like 20 of them all like on their phones, and they were looking at the answers. And, the JLPT usually doesn't give like test results until they're like notoriously slow, like 3 to 4 months. But they had all the answers, and I just remember walking up to them like, "Hey, what are you guys looking at?" "Oh, we're looking at the answers." I'm like, "Can I see?" And I'm like, "How the hell do you guys have the answers to this test?"
Right?
Because like a different time zone, right? Because the test was given like worldwide, so I guess like yeah, the kids who took it in China were sending the answers over to the kids in Japan. So yeah.
No way. That's crazy and not at all surprising.
Yeah, and I think they were like talking about it too in front of the JLPT staff.
No.
Yeah, so it's
And they
like,
got away with it?
oh yeah, I mean no one even flagged them or anything. So yeah.
Oh, I heard it's pretty strict when you take those tests. Like
Now it's crazy. I retook it, and when I retook it, everyone had to put their cell phone in a bag. Or
So it's like going to a Chappelle show.
yeah.
It's crazy.
When we went to the Chappelle show, we had to do the same thing. But I don't know. Like you said, when you were talking about it, like somehow, like they get the answers right. It seemed to be the case. Yeah.
wow.
Didn't they just have that big unified test in Japan for college entrance exams, and they disqualified this one guy because he was wearing the wrong kind of mask? And
What?
Ooh.
he retaliated by boarding himself up in the bathroom, and they had to call the cops to get him out.
Oh my gosh, I didn't hear about this.
Yeah.
He wore the wrong kind of mask.
Yes. No, he didn't put it over his nose.
Oh.
Mm.
Wow. So it was like safety concerns.
Yeah.
There's some way you could cheat, probably, right? With the mask if you're not wearing it the right way. I don't know.
But you can't see the answers if it's over your nose, right? That doesn't make any sense, Aaron.
Yeah, there's got to be some way. I don't know.
Right, the answers the inside of the mask.
Yeah, why not? So, Patrick, you have a huge following on TikTok and Instagram, and I follow you on Instagram, and your videos pop up on your videos pop up on my Explore feed all the time. They're hilarious. How did you get started doing this, and when did things really start to snowball and take off for you?
I believe I started TikTok back in October. Yeah, it was October of 2019. And there was a friend of mine, her name is Ashley. She taught with me at my old school in Sendai, and she was really into TikTok. And so for a number of months, she had been like, "Patrick, you need to start doing TikToks." At my school, I would make these silly little dances for the kids to learn to go along with their songs that we teach them. And so she was like, "You should like use your skills to make dances and just dance on TikTok. Like you could really take off." And I was like, I mean, I don't know, maybe. Like, I'm not really trying to be a TikToker, and like, I don't know. I'm not that great at dancing, but after a few months of her kind of bringing it up again and again, I decided to just try it out and see what it was like. And in the beginning, I just uploaded dances, maybe a couple funny skits here and there, but mostly just dances. And they didn't do very well. I quickly learned that people who dance on TikTok are really, really, really good at dancing, like way better than me. And so I kind of shifted more towards skit-based content. And I kind of tried to pull ideas from just my everyday life, my experience in Japan, teaching in the classroom with kids who don't really see a lot of African American or just dark-skinned people in general. And I would kind of make those experiences into funny little skits or things like that people could laugh at and inquire about. And people would inquire. They would be really curious and ask lots of questions. And I think I gained a lot of followers. Well, not a lot, but I gained a decent amount of followers in the beginning because people were so just fascinated by the fact that a Black man was teaching in Japan, because that's not something that you see very often, I don't think. And so I would say in maybe January or February of 2020, my TikTok account, I think it reached 100,000 followers around that time. And that was just before I moved to Tokyo. And ever since that point, it's just kind of been snowballing, sort of, because I got shadow banned in the summertime. TikTok says there's no such thing as a shadow ban. If you don't know what that is, that's where the videos that you put out don't reach people like they should. The number of people who are able to see your videos is just drastically lowered. And so for 3 months, I was in this like state of suppression where my videos weren't really going out to that many people.
Whoa, that's insane.
Yeah, it was very insane and very frustrating, because I would reach out to TikTok and be like, what's happening? Like, could you let me know?
And you have no idea why? Like, did you like say like, yeah, man, Chairman Chi looks just like Winnie the Pooh, yo.
Oh, shit.
That would probably get you shadow banned.
Right?
I think we just got shadow banned.
Oops.
Please remove my name from this podcast. They didn't say anything. And I know for a fact I haven't ever done anything to break the TikTok community guidelines, because all my content is very like family friendly and very like, it's not controversial at all, and there's no inappropriate stuff at all. So I'm like, it couldn't have been anything that I did to get shadow banned. I think it was just random. And I learned that other creators also experienced that as well. Just out of the blue, their content would just suddenly see a drastic decrease in views and likes and all that stuff. So
It sounds like some crazy sick social experiment.
quite possibly.
We will make you famous and then we will take it away. I mean, doesn't it like,
That is pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen King could write a book about this.
Huh.
Oh, I hope my life is not about to be a Stephen King story. Those don't usually go too well for the main characters. And the crazy thing is, actually, I'm in the midst of another shadow ban. I got shadow banned about a month ago. Just about a month and a half ago, right before Christmas. And I have a contact at TikTok that I'm kind of in touch with, and she's kind of looking into it for me. So hopefully it won't last 3 months like it did before. But yeah, TikTok it's weird. It just ups and downs. You never really know. No one can figure out the algorithm and why shadow bans happen and all this stuff. But all that to say, my account did grow a lot from January up until now. I went from 100,000 to over 900,000. So it is crazy that I was able to see that much growth. in such a short amount of time, because it does take people a long time to grow on TikTok. There are people I remember who I followed in my early days, and they had like 400,000 followers, and I thought, wow, they're famous TikTokers. Like, I don't think I'll ever get to that point, but I enjoy making my little dances and my skits, so I'll just keep doing it. And then things happened, and now I'm past them, past all these people who I followed in the beginning who were celebrities to me, you know? So it's been crazy. But again, I think a lot of it is because my story is so unique. Not many people see, again, a Black man teaching in Japan. Especially now I teach kindergartners, like they're small and I'm pretty tall. So any videos I post that feature the kids in them, people are always like, wow, they're so tiny and you're so tall. Like, that's crazy. It blows their minds.
Yeah, it's actually funny. One of the weird like anecdotes about building connections with other foreigners living in Japan actually came for me personally from being active on a message board it was a message board it was like a fan message board for a blog run by a Black guy from America who was teaching in Kyoto. And you might have heard of this blog. It's like 10, 15 years old, but it was called Gaijin Smash.
Sounds kind of familiar.
That phrase is, did he coin that phrase?
I think he did, actually. This was like 2005-ish.
Yeah, that phrase has been around for about that amount of time.
And this guy, oh my God, his blogs were so funny. Because like, you know, and it was also like younger kids. And so they'd like do kancho and like all this wacky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, his blog was amazing. And then he had to stop the blog because he wasn't teaching English in Japan anymore. I think he works at like Capcom or something now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Cool
Upgrade.
dude. Awesome message board. And it's funny, like the people who were like posting ridiculous stuff on that message board like 15 years ago, like one of them is a hotshot Silicon Valley startup lawyer in Tokyo now. And another is like operations manager for this big global company.
No way.
I had no idea like these random gaijins ended up being a really crazy, eclectic bunch of people.
Bringing people together.
The internet.
Mhm.
Also memes.
Yeah.
The memes.
Patrick, I think the content that I really love is your like anecdotal kind of Japanese social commentary stuff. Whenever I see videos of you doing that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh my God. It's like, of course, it's hilarious, but at the same time, it's like, damn, that's so true, you know?
Yep.
And it like hits people that, you know, live here. I'm curious, like frequency wise, like how often did you have to, you know, release when things started going with TikTok in order to like, you know, keep up and keep growing in followers?
Yeah, in the beginning, from October to I guess January, it was pretty often I put out videos, because you know you're experimenting, you're trying out different things. That's really what TikTok is. I'm still experimenting and trying out different things with my account, but yeah, I would try all kinds of different styles and different kinds of sounds or like the audio clips that you can use on TikTok. And I would say like once I moved to Tokyo in April, that was pretty much the same time that Tokyo got into the first state of emergency. And so I think I arrived a week before that first state of emergency. And so at that point, you know, I was home for the next 2.5 months doing online classes. And so I had even more free time than I had back in Sendai. And so I was just uploading TikToks all the time. Like in a day, I'd upload maybe two, I think the most TikToks, the highest number of TikToks I've uploaded in a day has been maybe 6 or 7. And it was during that time period, those 2 months. And so, yeah, during those months, it was just constantly videos. And then my school opened back up to in-person classes and I had less time, but I put out videos pretty often. At this point right now, it's about at least 3 or 4 times a week for the reason of the whole shadow ban thing. That's kind of why I'm kind of dipping off a bit, but really not by too much. I would still upload, I would say about that number, a little bit more than 3 or 4 times a week in the past before that the second shadow ban sort of began. It's not even because I want to keep the numbers up, I would say, or like keep the numbers coming in. It's just because I really enjoy it. I like making videos. You know, when you log on to TikTok, you see videos on your For You page that have funny clips or funny sounds, funny audio clips, or funny interpretations of this thing or that thing. The big thing now that I've been seeing on my For You page is people making like parodies of Trump leaving the White House.
I think I saw one on Jimmy Kimmel.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, where he's getting into the helicopter. Yeah.
So people are so creative with it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, you see tons of videos and you just absorb, and it just gives you ideas. And so you just start producing stuff.
Well, so riffing off of that, I wanted to ask, like, when you're making these videos, what's your creative process like for creating new content? Also, do you have a good idea of where your main audience is? Is it people inside Japan or overseas?
My main audience is definitely in the U.S. The majority of my followers are American native, U.S. natives. I think it's maybe like 70%, 65 to 70% of my followers are from the US, with a very small number being from Japan. Like, I would say 5%, I think. And so, well, even in the beginning, I made my content kind of with, American style comedy in mind. I definitely wanted to break into the Japanese market, but I don't speak Japanese very well. And so I don't think I've put out that many videos that feature me speaking Japanese. I have had maybe a handful of them, but all of the rest of my videos are in English. So Japanese users of TikTok don't really see my videos very much. But people in the US, Canada, I think Canada is the next highest percentage of like where my users, my followers are from. So I make my content basically. It depends on what kind of video you make in describing your creative process, I guess. But my most common style these days is doing these videos where I act as a teacher, film myself for like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute, and just me talking to nobody. And then I'll save that video. I'll post the video to private on TikTok, which saves it to your phone automatically. And so then I'll go into TikTok again and upload that video. And before I post it, I use the voiceover feature because TikTok has a lot of editing tools, which really help to make it user-friendly. So I'll do voiceovers and add different layers of students responding to me in my initial video of me, talking to nobody. So it's basically me talking to a class of students, and they're all saying different things and like really sassy things or really crazy things, or commenting on my hair or my skin, or like something funny that I said that they didn't understand, all kinds of different things. And then I put in captions. I have to go through the whole video and like put captions for everything I say, everything that the students say, and then post. So it takes a while. It takes about, I would say half an hour to 45 minutes to like from start to finish for a video in that style.
TikTok has kind of revolutionized the video editing process and allowing you, it's almost like you have an entire, studio in your hand.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Super convenient.
So you've been in Japan for so how many years now?
It's been 6.5, I think.
6.5. Okay. Do you think you'll stay here in the long haul? And after the pandemic, like, how do you feel about living in Japan for the long haul?
Aaron, it's still a pandemic.
Oh yeah, it's 2021. I keep wanting to say I want to think that we're over it, but we're
I
not.
wish.
Yeah,
I wish.
yeah.
Yeah. My tentative plan for now is to stay in Japan for another 3 to 4 years, and continue working on my Japanese and taking time to explore Japan, because at my old job in Sendai, it was a really great job and I loved teaching there, but it took up so much of my time that I didn't really have time to invest in the language and in just going out and seeing Sendai. There's so much of Sendai that I haven't even seen, because I was spending so much time at my workplace. So that was one reason I moved to Tokyo. I wanted a job that gave me time to invest in classes, learning Japanese and exploring and making Japanese friends. And then COVID hit when I moved here. So that was unfortunate. Yeah, after 3 or 4 more years, I do plan to move back to the US to be around family. I have a little niece and nephew who I didn't get to see this Christmas because of COVID. And so I would really like to, be present as they grow up. I think my niece is a couple months old and my nephew's 2 years old. So they're young. They're not really gonna remember me much if they see me in person. But as they get older, I would like to be there for them. So that's the plan. But I'm open to whatever happens. So if something changes and I end up being here kind of long term, that's fine with me too.
Yeah, it sounds like we're all kind of in the same boat as far as going back for Christmas was concerned.
Oh yeah. We we had like an hour-long nag session about that last year, because obviously I don't think a lot of people, anyone that we know anyway, went back, just because on top of it being difficult to return to Japan after going back to the United States, the going part is easy, the coming back part is not so easy. But even with that, technically, if you're a resident, you can come back if you do the quarantine, et cetera, et cetera. Even so, I think a lot of people decided not to, just because the situation in America is just not that great.
Mm-mm.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when I think about, this is kind of, people go back and forth on this because, Japan is kind of like, it was hard to get tested for COVID. I'm pretty sure it still is. So, numbers aren't super high here compared to a lot of other places. But people still wear masks out and about.
Yeah.
There's people, there's some that you see that don't have masks, but people generally are okay with wearing masks because people wore masks even before. Like Japanese people they're all about those masks, which is great. And then you have people in the US who are like fighting to not wear masks. And it's like, can you just put one on? Just put one on. Like, it's not going to kill you.
But you are infringing upon my freedom to not wear a mask. You do understand that America is a free country, don't you?
Oh my God.
It's like, what?
It's ridiculous. So yeah, I definitely get people not wanting to go back to that for Christmas too. Like you were saying.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
No, thank you.
Because, we're both from the South. And so we're used to, people getting up in arms about the most ridiculous of things.
Mm-hmm.
And now, we're watching reports from back home and it's like, well, they don't like wearing masks either. Well, I'd love to be surprised, but I'm not.
I'm just not. I'm not surprised.
I was all sad about not being able to go back for travel restrictions and everything, but my family's like, don't come back right now. It's like,
So don't come back.
Oh, they told me not to come back. I'm from Florida. That's my So Florida's not the best place to be.
I understand.
I like the dropping octaves of the oh.
Yeah.
So Patrick, outside of your work, what do you do for fun? I'm sure you've had some weird and funny experiences between being in Sendai and now in Tokyo. And we'd love to know if you have any funny anecdotes you could share.
Well, my favorite thing about Japan, first of all, is onsen. I love going to the Japanese public baths here. I actually have a series on TikTok about my experiences in public baths. And so
Is that just like a bunch of videos of you making really relaxed faces?
a lot of them are.
I knew it.
I mean, they range from like me almost passing out in a bath once, me slipping and falling in a bath once, me,
That's not funny.
me seeing other people slip and fall and like crack their heads open.
That is funny.
And it was an old man too, so it was kind of scary.
A little bit less funny.
Different things, yeah. But I love going to them. There was one that was pretty close to my apartment back in Sendai, and I had a car back in Sendai as well, so I would drive there just all the time and just chill in the bath. So that is something that I don't do as often now because of COVID, and also I don't have quick means of transportation. I mean, the subway system is great here. You can go anywhere, but
Unless that anywhere happens to be an onsen.
yes. They're often like you have to get off the train and then walk for like a good 20 minutes to get there. Yeah. So I like doing that, but I would say when I'm just at home, I like to play video games. I play Splatoon 2 a lot. I talk about that pretty frequently on my on my Instagram. I love Splatoon. I play a lot of Nintendo Switch games. I like watching YouTube. I like watching Netflix. When I'm home, I make TikToks also, like making videos. I'm trying to get back into YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, but I don't really upload videos much on it because I just don't really have good ideas, and I don't like editing videos really. So it's always kind of a pain after I finish filming a video to go through and edit everything. But I'm trying to think of new ideas and kind of get back into that.
Thinking about, you mentioned Instagram, and of course you've got an Instagram and a TikTok, and you've got quite a following on both of those platforms. Is there any overlap in the content between the two, or do you sort of cater to a similar but maybe different audience on each platform? How do you devise that?
Initially, the content was always separate. I made my Instagram account like a few months after I began my TikTok account, because I have like a personal Instagram account that I've had for years and years and years, but I didn't want my TikTok followers to be following me on my personal one. So I created that second one for them to follow. And yeah, in the beginning, it was just like random pictures or videos I would take. And then sometimes I would share my my TikToks on my stories on Instagram. But as of the last like maybe 2 or 3 months, I began, once they installed the Reels function on Instagram, which is basically the same thing as TikTok.
They just copied.
No, it's not. It's different.
Mark Zuckerberg said.
Oh, did he?
Guys, this is different.
No. Mark Zuckerberg sounds different than that. This is different.
More robotic.
He is a robot,
Most likely.
The AI controls him. I just imagine him like walking around like a puppet.
Mark Zuckerberg, yeah.
And now Tokyo Wave has been shadow banned on Facebook and Instagram
Oh.
and Snapchat. And what's the other one they own?
They don't own Snapchat. WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. There we go.
WhatsApp
Yeah.
and Oculus.
You cannot watch the VR Tokyo Wave anymore. Sorry, guys. I know you were really excited about that.
I don't know where we were, but I have to ask about onsen. Do you have any like crazy stories about, going into onsen?
Oh, we never got to a crazy story.
Yeah, that's
did we?
I want to
Yeah.
hear if possible.
Oh, yes, I have so many. Let me try to think of the craziest one. So this one's really embarrassing. This is an embarrassing onsen story, which if you're familiar with them, if you're not familiar with them, they're bathhouses where you go in and you undress, so everyone's naked. You go into a big like tub or like kind of like jet bath sort of thing, and you just sit and relax in them. Before you do that, though, you go to like the side of the room where there are a number of stalls where you shower or you sit on a little stool and like bathe yourself. So everyone cleans themselves first, then they go and sit in the bath. And they're not like tiny baths, they're big baths. So like you're not all up in each other's space. Like that would be kind of awkward. So you just chill in the bath and relax and sometimes talk to people, make friends. It's great. However, once at my old school, we would take these big trips to the south of Japan, the Kansai region. We called it the Kansai trip. And it was for...
Sounds ominous for some reason.
The Kansai trip. It was only for the 5th grade students. And so my first 3 years at that school, I taught 5th grade. So I got to go on the trip every year, which was really fun. And the first leg of the trip is a ferry ride down to the Kansai area. And on the ferry is a little, artificial onsen.
No, wait a second. So basically you take a boat from Sendai to Kansai.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's like the coolest school ever.
It was the trip.
It's like the Lonely Island. Free boat ride.
It's written in the contract.
But just to confirm, T-Pain was not on that boat, right?
I don't recall seeing him. No.
Damn.
So yeah, the ferry has this little artificial bath or artificial onsen for guests to bathe in, and everyone uses it. Like they're separate. First of all, men's and women's baths are separate, but the guests, because public baths are so common here, no one thinks anything of it to go into a bath and just bathe and be there with a bunch of people. Like it doesn't faze anybody, including me. The first time I went to one was, it was kind of jarring, but I got over it and I loved it. So now I like to go regularly. So the bath, we had to take our kids to the bath in the evening for like bath time. And teachers were welcome to go into the bath with the kids if they wanted. There were separate showers that we could use in other parts of the ship if we wanted, like after we put the kids to bed. But they were such long days, and you're like managing this group of like 20 something kids for an entire day. And so like when you put them all to bed and finish doing your rounds and making sure they're not like talking to their friends and actually sleeping, it's like 11 something at night. And so when it was bath time for the kids at like 6, I was like, I'm just gonna go with the kids. Like I don't care. I don't think they're gonna care. Because when you go into a bath and there's children there, they kind of like look at you kind of funny, and then they get over it real fast. So I was like, it'll be fine. A lot of the other teachers, in fact, I'm pretty sure none of the other teachers wanted to go with their class. They're like, absolutely not. But I'm like, I don't care. So I went with my kids, and I get really competitive sometimes. And when we were in the changing room taking our clothes off, one of the students was like getting all his clothes off real fast. And I was like, I don't know why, but that competitiveness just rose up in me. And I wanted to be the first one to get into the actual like bath or the room where you bathe and then get in the bath, And so I got my clothes off faster than him, and I beat him into the door to get into the room. And, there's water all over the floor because it's a bath house. And I just barely get into the room, and I have like a little modesty towel. You carry like a modesty towel with you, so you're not just showing your stuff to everybody.
I like where this is going.
I get into the room, and because of the water on the floor, and I'm like slightly running because I've just like beat him into the room, I start slipping and sliding and flailing like crazy as I'm, just entering the room. And there's nobody in there, thankfully. No one's witnessing this happen. I'm sorry about that.
Are you good?
Well, I don't know if you were trying to make a sound effect for the sound, but you just did.
It's nicely timed. Yeah.
Yeah, basically,
Are you made out of plastic?
I'm definitely not, because when I fell down, and again, nobody was in there to see it. Like no one had been in the bath previously, but my students were all coming into the bath after me. And so they all saw me just like slip and slide for a good like 5 seconds and then just face plant on the ground, like spread eagle.
Oh my gosh.
And they all like, they all fell out laughing. They were just cracking up. And I was laughing too. Like it was funny. And I wasn't like super hurt or anything. And my hand kind of hurt for a couple days after, but that was it.
You know, this is an important thing to remember and something that I'm always reminded when something like that happens to me. In America, when something like that happens, everyone is like, are you okay? Are you okay?
Yep,
Are you okay?
exactly.
In Japan, when something like that happens, it's the funniest shit ever.
It really was. They all laughed. Not a single one of them said, are you okay?
A few episodes ago, I shared an anecdote in which I was having yakiniku out on a rooftop like terrace with some friends, and I ate a big piece of yakiniku and I choked on it.
Oh no.
And I choke on it and I choke on it and I'm falling on the floor and choking on it.
You were like about to die.
on the floor.
And everybody is just like laughing their asses off.
He's like dying.
On the floor. Like that would you'd think would be a
Eventually
sign.
they figured out that I was dying and saved me from dying.
death.
But yeah.
Dang.
After they finished yuckling their fucking heads off.
Wow. That's scary. I assumed they were laughing because they were for my story that is because they were children, but you were with
Oh
grown
no,
adults.
these were grown adults.
It doesn't change.
Yeah.
Dang. That's savage.
Welcome to Japan.
Right? Yeah. Or they just pretend they don't see it. They just go about their business like normal. That's the thing I've noticed too. They're like, oh, I didn't see that person just face plant. I'm just going to keep going.
It's so true. It's one or the other, man. It's one extreme or the other.
It is.
That's hilarious. So yeah, I'm curious because this has happened to me. I think every time I go to onsen, this happens to me. Like
You fall on your ass?
no, not the falling on my ass, but an older Japanese guy will start talking to me when I'm just trying to chill out. Right? I don't know.
What is it like?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice junk, desu ne.
I mean, I've had some crazy stuff said to me. You know.
Yes.
I don't know. Does this happen to you as well?
Yes. The old men, they love to strike up conversations with you.
Yes.
I don't know why.
It's like so normal. I've had guys like swim towards me like, where are you from? Where are you from? Like from afar, start a conversation. I'm
Right?
like, no, dude, I'm trying to chill out, you know, like
I'd like my space.
Nice breaststroke, Shinji.
Right in the whirlpool. Yeah, a lot of them too, they speak a bit of English. So I feel like they're like, well, I've lived in this place for a few years and I can speak some English. So I'm going to practice my English with this gaijin over here. For me, it always happens when I'm like super dehydrated, because I'm always dehydrated when I go to baths. And I'm trying to like stand up to move somewhere else. That's when they always come over. And I'm like, oh, let me sit back down. Because I don't want to be rude and just leave. But like I need air because the water's hot. And you're like, I can't do this, but they want to talk to you about, you know, where you're from and, you know, how long you've been in Japan and all these basic questions. And it's nice. And, you know, you try to be engaging, but it's like, I need to get out of this bath. I'm going to melt. Yeah.
the weirdest one I was in Toyama, Japan, which is a little bit north of Tokyo, and the guy started grabbing my cheeks, and he
What?
wanted to see how thick my cheeks were.
What?
Yeah, man. And this was a small onsen.
No.
And I'm like, oh, I was there with my girlfriend, and you know, she's in the female section. And I'm stuck in here with this guy trying to grab my cheeks, and I'm just like, I gotta get the hell out of here. It sucks too, because like it was such a relaxing day, and I'm like, oh, I just want to stay in here for like 30 minutes if possible, right? But yeah, I got out pretty quick.
Well, since
That's
apparently
so awkward.
apparently this is onsen amateur hour, so I'm gonna have to join the gauntlet. So I have this favorite onsen. I think everybody has their favorite onsen. Well, my favorite onsen is this beautiful place up in the mountains, and it's an onsen kind of inside this massive onsen river.
Oh.
It's like way up in the mountains.
Oh wow,
Wow.
that's cool.
It's awesome. And the main bath bath, the part that's in the middle of the river, is a mixed bath. So that means, boys and girls together, naked, which sounds awesome, but in reality it isn't, because the only female individuals who end up being in the mixed bath tend to be of the advanced aged variety.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah. That was not the funny part, though. The funny part is it's, even if it's a mixed bath, the modesty towels, you're not supposed to take the modesty towels into the bath with you.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as you hit the bath, you got to, leave the towel on the side of the bath. And it's a big bath.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in the middle of the bath, you have no modesty towel. And so I'm lazy. I mean, the modesty towel doesn't really do anything for you because, it's a big bath. So I always just don't bother with the modesty towel.
Mm-hmm.
This was totally normal. I've been to this onsen several times. I mean, I've probably been there like over the past 10 years, like more than a dozen times. And one year I went and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the onsen in the middle of this big open onsen in the middle of the middle of the river, and it's going to be so awesome. And I was so stoked about it. I just, didn't think about anything, didn't look around, just, very quickly washed myself off, totally buck naked, go straight into the big bath in the middle of the river. And I don't pay any attention to anything. I also did not pay attention to the new sign that they had installed that from this season, everyone was to wear bathing outfit that they provide. And so, you're naked in their separate bath areas, and then you go in together, but you're no longer naked anymore. They changed their policy.
Oh, no.
I did not see that sign. Those dreams where, all of a sudden you're in the middle of public and you're totally buck naked. You ever had one of those dreams?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happened to me in real life. It was kind of shitty.
Did you make it all the way into the middle of the bath?
Oh, yeah. And usually there's nobody there. So I was just like, whatever. But there was totally like 15 people and lots of girls, lots of guys, and one very naked me. It was, of course, I was the only gaijin too. So,
right, of course.
Just in case you were wondering.
Wow. I don't know if I could recover from that. Did you run out of there as soon as you realized? Or did someone come and tell you?
That was one of the times where everybody pretends like nothing is happening.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Thank God. Otherwise, I could never go back.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. I think that tops mine. That's like the best onsen story I've ever heard.
That's funny. Now, I would have just assumed it was some European guy if I saw that personally, I don't know why. I guess I have this this cliche of like, if a guy just randomly gets naked and starts walking around, he's like from Russia or Sweden or something. Or
there's always this like random guy who's always from like Scotland who like gets really drunk and then goes to swim in the Imperial Moat and they arrest him.
Yeah.
I've seen pics of that.
Yeah. They're always from Scotland.
Interesting. So, moving on, Patrick, are there any shout outs you'd like to make, other than your TikTok or any projects you're working on right now that you'd like our listeners to know about?
Let's see. I mentioned my YouTube channel. I have a Twitter. I have a Twitch channel that I'm trying to be more active on, and everything is, the name is just The Paper Pat and all those social media. But I'm actually working on some merch. An artist reached out to me a couple months ago and was like, I'd love to help design some merch items for you. And so we kind of talked through some different things and have a couple different designs that we want to put on some merch. Nothing has been like super, we haven't gotten very far besides just designing the designs, I guess. But hopefully in the next few months, we'll be able to put out some merch for people to purchase. That'd be really cool. So keep an eye out for that. And other than that, I'm going to just continue to make videos, kind of see where things go. I do have a YouTube video planned for the next month, maybe. Not on my channel, on a cooking channel, or a channel. I believe the channel is called Pico Box, and they are going to have me and another gaijin try to make some Japanese food while a Japanese chef kind of judges and rates our products.
Oh, that sounds great, actually.
They're going to call it Two Gaijins, One Gohan.
Ooh, that's a good title. That was quick. Wow, that's a good one. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be coming out soon. Hopefully, we're gonna film. I think in 2 weeks from now, and then hopefully in the next month it'll come out. Nothing huge, but yeah, I just want to keep riding this wave and see where it takes me. See what opens up, what opportunities come my way, and take them when I can.
Well, today, thank you for riding on this Tokyo wave. And again, thank you so much today for joining us. And maybe we can have you on again sometime in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, thanks so much, Patrick. And to all of our listeners, you can view and see all of Patrick's content at Paper Pat on Twitch and Instagram.
I think it's The Paper Pat on Instagram and TikTok, right?
Yes.
All right.
The Paper Pat.
Awesome.
Hey, listeners, that's right. You listener right there.
Who do you think should be our next guest on Tokyo Wave? Let us know. Drop us a line at wave@tokyowave.jp.
We hope you enjoyed Tokyo Wave.
If you haven't already, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Join us again next week on Tokyo Wave.